welcome to the Groovy Sleep Train. Thanks so much for joining me today. The first thing I wanted to say was just thanks for being so patient recently. I know I've not been sort of uploading videos as often as I'd like to and as often as I was towards the end of last year, but I've been so busy that I just can't find enough time to do everything that I want to do, which is a real shame, and also because I just don't really feel good, and it's hard to find the impulse to do certain things when you don't feel great. But I have been getting back into poetry, reading it and writing it, so I thought it's been a long time since I've done like a nice reading video, so I thought I'd do that today, reading a couple of my favourites. So I thought we could start with Allen Ginsberg, HOWL, and I'm only going to read a couple from in here because they're so great and they're real thinkers. They really make you think, and I love that about it, but it's perhaps not the most relaxing imagery, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to read a couple from HOWL, a couple of the kind of shorter ones. Okay. An asphodel. Oh dear sweet rosy, unattainable desire, how sad, no way to change the mad cultivated asphodel, the visible reality. And skin's appalling petals, how inspired to be so lying in the living room, drunk, naked and dreaming in the absence of electricity, over and over eating the low root of the asphodel, grey fate. Rolling in generation on the flowery couch, as on a bank in Arden, my only rose tonight's the treat of my own nudity. And that was written in fall 1953. Song. The weight of the world is love, under the burden of solitude, under the burden of dissatisfaction. The weight we carry is love. Who can deny? In dreams it touches the body, in thought constructs a miracle, in imagination anguishes till born inhuman. Looks out of the heart burning with purity, for the burden of life is love. But we carry the weight wearily, and so must rest in the arms of love at last, must rest in the arms of love. No rest without love, no sleep without dreams of love. Be mad or chill, obsessed with angels or machines, the final wish is love, cannot be bitter, cannot deny, cannot withhold if denied. The weight is too heavy, must give for no return, as thought is given in solitude, in all the excellence of its excess. The warm bodies shine together in the darkness, the hand moves to the centre of the flesh, the skin trembles in happiness, and the soul comes joyful to the eye. Yes, yes, that's what I wanted. I always wanted to return to the body where I was born. San Jose, 1954. Wild orphan. Blandly, mother takes him strolling by railroad and by river. He's the son of the ascending hot rod angel, and he imagines cars and rides them in his dreams. So lonely growing up among the imaginary automobiles and dead souls of Tarrytown, to create out of his own imagination the beauty of his wild forebears, a mythology he cannot inherit. Will he later hallucinate his gods, waking among mysteries with an insane gleam of recollection? The recognition, something so rare in his soul, met only in dreams, nostalgias of another life. A question of the soul, and the injured losing their injury in their innocence, a cock, a cross, an excellence of love, and the father grieves in flop house, complexities of memory 1,000 miles away, unknowing of the unexpected youthful stranger bumming towards his door. New York, April 13th, 1952. In back of the railroad yard in San Jose, I wandered desolate in front of a tank factory and sat on a bench near the switchman's shack. A flower lay on the hay on the asphalt highway, the dread hay flower, I thought. It had a brittle black stem and corolla of yellowish dirty spikes like Jesus' inch-long crown, and a soiled dry centre cotton tuft like a used shaving brush that's been lying under the garage for a year. Yellow, yellow flower, and flower of industry, tough, spiky, ugly flower. Flower nonetheless, with the form of the great yellow rose in your brain. This is the flower of the world. San Jose, 1954. Okay. Now I'm going to read some William Blake. William Blake was a British poet in the Romantic period. I studied him at school in English literature, A-level, and really loved him. So, which one shall we read? The ones we did was the book of Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. That's what we studied. It was interesting. But I think this compilation has a lot of different ones as well, so just trying to remember which ones that I liked. Okay, let's read. Little Boy Lost and Little Boy Found. The little boy lost. Father, father, where are you going? Oh, do not walk so fast. Speak, father, speak to your little boy, or else I shall be lost. The night was dark, no father was there. The child was wet with dew. The mire was deep, and the child did weep, and away the vapour flew. The little boy found. The little boy lost in the lonely fen, led by the wandering light, began to cry, but God ever nigh appeared like his father in white. He kissed the child, and by the hand led unto his mother brought, who in sorrow pale thro' the lonely dale her little boy weeping sought. And this one was one of my favourites, The Echoing Green. It's about the Industrial Revolution. The echoing green. The sun does arise and make happy the skies. The merry bells ring to welcome the spring. The skylark and thrush, the birds of the bush, sing louder around to the bell's cheerful sound, while our sports shall be seen on the echoing green. Old John with white hair does laugh away care, sitting under the oak among the old folk. They laugh at our play, and soon they all say, such were the joys when we all girls and boys in our youth time were seen on the echoing green. Till the little ones weary, no more can be merry. The sun does descend, and our sports have an end. Round the laps of their mothers, many sisters and brothers, like birds in their nest, are ready for rest, and sport no more seen on the darkening green. And then let us read. So this is all in Songs of Innocence, if you're wondering. Night. The sun descending in the west, the evening star does shine. The birds are silent in their nest, and I must seek for mine. The moon, like a flower in heaven's high bower, with silent delight sits and smiles on the night. Farewell, green fields and happy groves, where flocks have took delight, where lambs have nibbled, silent moves the feet of angels bright. Unseen they pour blessing and joy without ceasing on each bud and blossom and each sleeping bosom. They look in every thoughtless nest where birds are covered warm. They visit caves of every beast to keep them all from harm. If they see any weeping that should have been sleeping, they pour sleep on their head and sit down by their bed. When wolves and tigers howl for prey, they pitying stand and weep, seeking to drive their thirst away and keep them from the sheep. But if they rush, dreadful, the angels most heedful receive each mild spirit new worlds to inherit. And there the lion's ruddy eyes shall flow with tears of gold, and pitying the tender cries, and walking round the fold, saying wrath by his meekness and by his health sickness is driven away from our mortal day. And now beside thee, bleating lamb, I can lie down and sleep, or think on him who bore thy name, graze after thee and weep. For washed in life's river, my bright mane forever shall shine like the gold as I guard o'er the fold. There's a lot of sound outside today. I hope it's not annoying. There was a couple missing, I think. Oh well. Let's read some from Songs of Experience. There's a very famous one in Songs of Experience that you will have probably heard. Where is it? Oh yeah, I always preferred Songs of Experience. I just remembered. Okay. So this is the one that you've probably heard. The tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what a mortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distance, deeps or skies, burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil? What dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what a mortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? There's also a little girl lost and a little girl found. Let's read them both. The little girl lost. In futurity I prophetic see that the earth from sleep, grave the sentence deep, shall arise and seek for her maker meek, and the desert wild become a garden mild. In the southern clime where the summer's pine never fades away, lovely Lyca lay. 7 summers old, lovely Lyca told, she had wandered long, hearing wild birds' song. Sweet sleep, come to me underneath this tree. Do father, mother weep? Where can Lyca sleep? Lost in desert wild is your little child. How can Leica sleep if her mother weep? If her heart does ache, then let Leica wake. If my mother sleep, Leica shall not weep. Frowning, frowning night, o'er this desert bright, let thy moon arise while I close my eyes. Sleeping Leica lay, while the beasts of prey come from caverns deep, viewed the maid asleep. The kingly lion stood and the virgin viewed, then he gambolled round o'er the hollowed ground. Leopards, tigers play round her as she lay, while the lion old bowed his mane of gold, and her bosom lick, and upon her neck from his eyes of flame ruby tears there came, while the lioness loosed her slender dress, and naked they conveyed to caves the sleeping maid. Little girl found. All the night in woe, like as parents go over valleys deep, while the deserts weep. Tired and woe-begone, hoarse with making moan, arm in arm, 7 days they tracked the desert ways. 7 nights they sleep among shadows deep, and dream they see their child, starved in desert wild. Pale through pathless ways the fancied image strays, famished, weeping, weak, with hollow, piteous shriek. Rising from unrest, the trembling woman pressed with feet of weary woe, she could go no further. In his arms he bore her, armed with sorrow sore, till before their way a couching lion lay. Turning back was vain, soon his heavy mane bore them to the ground, then he stalked around, smelling to his prey, but their fears allay when he licks their hands and silent by them stands. They look upon his eyes, filled with deep surprise, and wondering behold a spirit, armed in gold. On his head a crown, on his shoulders down, flowed his golden hair, gone with all their care. Follow me, he said, weep not for the maid, in my palace deep Leica lies asleep. Then they followed, where the vision led, and saw their sleeping child among tigers wild. To this day they dwell in a lonely dell, not fear the wolfish howl, nor the lion's growl. And I think we'll do 1 or 2 more. My pretty rose tree. A flower was offered to me, such a flower as May never bore, but I said, I have a pretty rose tree, and I passed the sweet flower over. Then I went to my pretty rose tree, to tend her by day and by night, but my rose turned away with jealousy, and her thorns were my only delight. Okay, this one called London. I wander through each charted street, near where the character Thames does flow, and mark in every face I meet marks of weakness, marks of woe, in every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every ban, the mind-forged miracles I hear. How the chimney sweepers cry, every blackening church appalls, and the hapless soldier's sigh runs in blood down palace walls. But most through midnight streets I hear how the youthful harlot's curse blasts the newborn infant's tear, and blights with plagues the marriage hearse. Let's see, let's do 1 more. Oh, here we go. A divine image. Cruelty has a human heart, and jealousy a human face. Terror the human form divine, and secrecy the human dress. The human dress is forged iron, the human form a fiery forge, the human face a furnace sealed, the human heart its hungry gorge. Well, I hope you enjoyed the poetry and that you're nice and comfortable. So take care, and I'll see you next time.